Meanwhile, the European Union has released a statement saying it deeply regrets the reimposition of sanctions, but expects Tehran to continue implementing the nuclear deal. President Hassan Rouhani will deliver a speech on Iran's response later on Monday. But for more on what we can expect, we're joined live by former Iranian diplomat Dr. Mehrdad Khonsari. Good to speak to you, Mehrdad. So what stance do you expect Rouhani will take after the US decision?
Well, it's very difficult to say exactly because he's in such a dire situation with the increasing level of domestic protests about the state of the Iranian economy that is in a state of tatters even before the reimposition of these sanctions. So I think his message is one to try and suggest that the international community will probably try to assist Iran in as best way as it can and to try to calm the situation. But really, no one expects him to be able to pull any rabbits out of his hat at this stage.
And what will these reimposed sanctions really mean for Tehran economically?
Well, I think that, as I said, you know, over the past 6 months, the Iranian economic situation has deteriorated consistently. The value of the Iranian rial, the national currency, has depreciated by almost 80%. People, you know, the cost of living has risen. As a consequence, inflation, unemployment has increased. When President Rouhani came to power, he promised to improve the economy by attaining a nuclear agreement with the international community. And once that agreement had been reached, he was able to improve the economy, increase employment, reduce inflation. But now, as a result of American pressures and even, you know, the threat of reimposing sanctions, that tide has turned against Iran and has left the country in a terrible situation. And unless it is able to negotiate directly over a broader agreement with the United States, it's very unlikely that other partners in the international community can really do anything serious.
And I mean, Europe already says it deeply regrets this new round of sanctions. So how do you really see the US-Iran relationship affecting the rest of the world?
Well, I mean, you know, the European regrets are kind words, but they are no substitute for what Iran needs. And the reality is that so long as, you know, these sanctions remain unilaterally by the United States and the threat of secondary sanctions on Europeans, the Chinese or the Russians, there is very little that they can do to help Iran. So unless Iran engages directly, breaks a 40-year-old taboo of, you know, ignoring the United States or just, you know, demonizing it and not wanting to speak with it, to have, you know, sort of one-to-one dialogue, there is no way that this situation can be resolved. And I think the Iranian leadership is rapidly reaching that conclusion that there is the only way to sort of free themselves from the burden of a deteriorating economy is to enter into a process which will take a long time, but at least might, in the meantime, sort of persuade the Americans not to go along with the sanctions so long as they are negotiating with Iran.
Well, thank you very much for joining us here on TRT World, Mehrdad Khonsari.